Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Big day, everybody, huh? Wow. Just a lot of things. Just a lot. It was a lot. It was a big day. We're going to talk about all of the things. Shout out to Need Some Z's. Shout out to Mary and Candace. Happy Annie, Angel. And I need to send Twiz his special text. And they need to develop, by they, I mean, I don't know, whoever makes technology, an automated system so that he automatically gets his special text when I go live. That would be fancy, wouldn't it? That's right. She definitely is free. What a day, you guys. What a freaking day. It's surreal. It's surreal. Feels like, I don't even know. It's hard to even, it didn't hit me until like after the verdict came in, and it's still sinking in now, just how I didn't realize until now that it really felt like we wouldn't ever get here. Do you guys feel the same way? Like in the wake of all the shenanigans with Judge Bev, and I'm saying shenanigans, really it's fuckery. And after yesterday and the jury questions and the issues, and then they, and then they took, a number of hours longer today, and it was like after lunch or whenever, I think it was after lunch, it was like, seemed more and more possible that maybe there would be another trial next year, a third trial, even if it was just on count 2, but nonetheless, even though logic would be like, obviously this is what should happen, it still felt like we would never get here. It's been such a long road. Do you guys feel that way as well? Shout out to Mass Dad. Happy to see you again. Were you there in court or there at the courthouse? Shout out to Carla. Candace says, I was dreading it, but I'm so glad the jury was smart enough to see the truth. But dial verdict. Yeah, in my mind, I've been nicknaming it the false verdict because it's like the false memory. There's myriad fun ways to call that terrifying moment when that happened. Horrifying. Oh yeah, I gotta send Twiz's text. Give me just a second here, guys. Sending your special text. Here we go. Special Twiz text. Welcome, Bunny. Happy to see you again as well, my friend. Wow, just a lot. So, okay. So first, why don't we jump right on in to the first thing that happened today. Again, as you can see from the stream, very late in the day, after lunch-ish, where we had and I'm calling it the false verdict. It worked out for me, though, I will say, because things at the law firm were kind of quiet today. And I was actually able to watch this entire verdict situation, listen to it live when it was happening. There were no phone calls. There were no clients. Both the attorneys were out of the office, and it worked out really, really, really well. Had this happened earlier in the day or a different day, I would have had to catch up after the fact, and it would have been very different than being able to see this live. So anyway, just for me, that worked out well. Okay. All right, let's go. The OnlyFan. There she goes. I mean, in a weird way, I'm going to miss the OnlyFan. What about you guys? It's really become like a constant, like there's things in life that you can count on, when everything else is run amok. The OnlyFan was that constant for me and for a lot of people, right? Like, it's going to be weird not seeing this fan on our almost daily basis. And like, when is the camera going to move away from the fan? And I don't know, man. I'm going to miss the fan in a weird way.
You are unmuted.
Possible. So Need Some Z's is saying, unless and until I hear a juror say that they did in fact mess up the verdict slip, I will absolutely believe they wanted to deliver it at 2:27 and Bev wouldn't read it at the time. Entirely possible. And you know, it would make the funny thing, right, is like that, you know I was of the impression that probably we were going to have a verdict in the morning, and or at least before lunch. So if indeed the jury wanted to wait until 2:27, that could explain the lengthy time for deliberations today as well. Hoslong.
We see the court is in session.
All right. I appreciate you all getting back here. During the luncheon break, I received word from a court officer that the jury had knocked on the door, indicating that they had a verdict. But before I could even summons everybody into court, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict. So
this is insane. I've never heard of this ever happening. It's like when this happened today, it was like only in this trial. This is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Crazy.
I asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it, and to give it to us. Paul, do you have it?
Yeah, Candace says, I hope I never hear Bev's voice again unless she's saying I plead guilty. I'm with you on that.
I haven't seen this. It's been sealed. I'm now going to seal it in the legal sense. So this is sealed. No one will have access to it. It will be preserved and made part of this record. I'm going to ask it to be marked for identification with the word.
One thing that's interesting, and there's been some discussion about this that I've heard from other people, right, is like, did they just mess up on the form? So the thing is that I have seen that in other trials where they accidentally mess up on a form in some way. But typically the jurors don't realize they messed up on the form. And so they submit it and then they're asked to correct it. That's happened. Or they realize it or whatever. But like in that case, having a mistake on the form where they realize they did something wrong or whatever is different. Like for the jury to say they have a verdict, that's the languaging there is like let's listen again. You know what I mean? Because that sounds different. When there's been a mistake on the form or just some technicality, they have to do something different with that, then that's what is typically said. Now, is it possible that that's what happened and Bev is rewording it, to still try to have some sort of influence over what's going to happen? Who knows? Also possible, I would say.
Indicating that they had a verdict.
Yeah, exactly.
But before I could even summons everybody into court, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict. So I asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it, and to give it to us. Paul, do you have it?
Well, no, they do say that they have a verdict. The foreperson has to say that they've reached a verdict, right? I mean,
During the luncheon break, I received word from a court officer that the jury had knocked on the door, indicating that they had a verdict.
Indicating. She may have given specific instruction. I mean, like literally in other trials, I feel like the foreperson says they have a verdict. But here, was this a part of jury instructions that I just hadn't, it got, like this would be very specific, right? If like they're not allowed to speak, they just have to knock on the door. Is that like a thing? Did that happen in jury instructions? If so, that is specific and unusual. But knocking on the door indicating they had a verdict. Well then, okay, well I have a question. But what if they have what if they had another question? Let's walk through this. What if they had another question? Or what if they had, I don't know, somebody got sick or just some other need other than a verdict, right? And they have to knock on the door to get the bailiff's attention, right? You see what I mean? So it's like in other words, speaking would have to happen for them to communicate what they need, right? You know what I mean? Like, or for example, when they're like, yeah, we want to go home. We're done deliberating, want to go home. And we know for a fact, at least even last year, there were days where the jury, communicated that they wanted to leave extra early, you know, even like an hour or 1 hour or an hour and a half early. So, so were they told specifically that if they knock and just don't say anything, it means it's a verdict? I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? I don't know. I agree with this, Carla. Carla says, Bev's instructions unclear and never direct. Bev is insane. Yeah. The jury said they had a verdict and gave the bailiff the slip. So, well, Happy Annie is saying that they're not allowed to speak, which just, I mean, why? Tell me why. Like, what? Just to, or is this just to add to the confusion and the layers of people miscommunication and I mean, this is just craziness. You know what I mean? I mean, that's funny. Candace is saying the best possible scenario would be if they were just fucking with Bev to get back at her. So the thing is that while I think it's possible that there was like a holdout for someone who didn't want to convict of the OUI, I of course that's possible. The thing that I think would be weird though is if they had reached an actual verdict during this false verdict moment and then they changed their mind, because it was such a short, and then, like, in other words, if there was one person who was like, oh, I changed my mind, because the period of time before they come back with the real verdict is not very long. You know what I mean? And it's like, I would find it hard to believe that that would have been enough time for someone to like have said, okay, fine, I agree. And then, no, I changed my mind. And then work through it long enough to have then went back to their original verdict, you know? So I don't know. Parlance Burgess would say, Jesus Christ. Good question. Do they turn in one form or one for each juror? Well, it's one total verdict, but at this point it's several pages because count 2, I believe, is now on 2 pages. So count 1 is on 1 page. I think count 2 now spans 2 pages, and then count 3 is on another page. So potentially 4 pages, but yes, only one set for the group. Yeah, same here. And by the way, speaking of which, I'm glad you said this, Needs and Z's. If any of you guys use like Twitter or whatever things, and you see that there's any buzz coming out that maybe a juror is speaking up, because it could happen, night's still young, you know, like a juror is giving an interview or whatever, let me know. Also, you guys, have you all heard about what's happening like right now about Proctor? Did you guys hear about that one? And that's also why I was delayed. I was trying to figure out if there was a way I could get ABC, because that's where Proctor is having a thing, right? I think still, but it started at like 8 o'clock or something. Yeah, 1 form per count, but possibly count 2 might be on. My understanding is count 2 is now 2 pages because they added the extra languaging. So, so yeah, one set of the verdicts for with the charges for the group. And actually, I can tell you guys for a fact. Actually, no, I can say it for sure. Count 2, I can say for sure, is now on 2 pages. Actually, let me see if I can pull that up. I actually had that at work. I printed it off. Let me see here. Yeah, count 2 is now on was on 2 pages itself now with the added changes. So it would have been 4 pages total. Let me see something here. I can pull this up so you guys can see what it looked like at the end of the day. Just a second. I wonder what Karen Reed and her defense team are doing right now. Do you think they're all together? Like, are they hanging out together? Are they? I mean, I would say probably. I want to hear, like, I feel like now there's so many people that we will be able to hear from if they want to speak out, and I just can't wait. I'm just so excited to see what happens. And you know, will jurors from the first trial speak out that hadn't already? You know, there's just so much to think about here. I'm just looking for this verdict slip because again, I had printed it off at work and I left it there, and so I didn't have it on the computer here at home. Well, I'll keep looking for it as we watch this. How about that?
But before I could even summons everybody into court, you know, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict. So I asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it, and to give it to us. Paul, do you have it? Thank you. I haven't seen this. It's been sealed. I'm now going to seal it in the legal sense. So this is sealed. No one will have access to it. It will be preserved and made part of this record. I'm going to ask it to be marked for identification with the word jury, Chrissy, just to keep it separate and apart from everything else. So it's marked for ID with the word jury. All right. So we do not have a verdict because, as we all know, there is no verdict until it is announced and recorded in open court. So we are still awaiting a verdict. Because it took a while to pull this together, I would ask that everybody remain in the building until the end of the day. So we'll see everybody later.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. And I found, by the way, I found the verdict slip. So let me just get this and we will take a look here. I mean, it's really crazy when you see this actually, like how it's one charge and how long it is pretty insane. So also there was a statement put out for anyone who missed it from the McAlberts, which we will take a look at as well. Let me just get these ready as let's see. Now we're going to actually enjoy the fan because we're not going to be seeing much of the fan anymore, you know? So, let me just get these ready here. Okay. You guys enjoying the fan? Okay, so let's just crop this so it'll. And let me see. While I'm doing this, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Yeah, Nightbot doesn't start talking until the live stream starts, like until it goes live. That's how Nightbot works. He hangs out until it's like you hit the go live button, and then he's like, "Oh, here I am." Cute. We love you, Nightbot. He's so cute. So what you'll notice, though, interestingly, is you'll notice there's actual page numbers on here, so you can really see it's legit 2 pages for this one count. It's wild. As you will see here in just 1 second. So yeah, 2020. Yeah, so Proctor is doing like I want here, if anyone knows this part, I'm not clear on if it's 2 different like documentaries or if it's the same, but I know that he's on one tonight and another one tomorrow, and it might be the thing I'm not clear on again is if it's 2 completely different series.
Comes over, they say we have a verdict. Canoni is informed of it, but it's in between the time.
Or if it's just the same thing, but on 2 different platforms. So if you all know that one, you can let me know. That'd be awesome. Okay, so let me share this to you guys. Let's see here. So here is the updated count 2 with the changes from yesterday, in case you haven't seen it. So now you will, like, this is the craziness, right? For this one count, like, take a look. Page 1, page 2. 2 pages for this one count. So so here's the changes, right? So we've got so everything in this, so the new parts are here. So if you find the defendant not guilty of the offense charge or any lesser included offense, stop and sign the verdict slip. So that would be, as they're going through this, see, now we can imagine how they actually did this, right? Because now that we know how they voted, right? So they didn't check here, right? Because they kept going. So then they went on to the next part. Number 2, guilty of offenses charged, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. And then they have check one or both of the following. If you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, then continue below. So they would have continued. Then they get to number 3. Guilty of lesser included offense, right, is a good option here, involuntary manslaughter. If you find the defendant guilty of the lesser included of involuntary manslaughter, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, then continue to the next page. So they would have done that. And then we have number 4, the motor vehicle homicide, right? Check one or both of the following. And then if you find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of motor vehicle homicide, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of motor vehicle homicide under the influence of liquor, then continue below. So then that's when they would have gotten here to number 5. Guilty of lesser included offense, operating under the influence of liquor, check one or both of the following. One thing we don't know, right, guys? I mean, it was kind of just hard to hear, and there was some fumbling. But one thing that I don't think we were able to learn is what they checked here, which is something we should be able to know, right? It's part of their verdict. And I'm curious, has anybody mentioned this? Like, in other words, did they go off of, they can check one or both, right? Operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, that's the one where it could be based on like the statements, the video of her at the bar, receipts, whatever, and or operating a motor vehicle with the blood alcohol. So they would have only checked this one if they were relying on the retrograde extrapolation to determine that, right? And I'm really curious because we talked a lot about this last night, and I'm really curious which one they checked or if they checked both of them. I wouldn't be, well, and the question about the time, I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll put a poll in the chat about what, so you guys can say what you think here. And then if you find the defendant guilty of operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, stop. This is confusing. If you find the defendant guilty of operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, oh, stop. Okay. If you find the defendant not guilty on this offense and all other offenses, check the first box on page 1. If you find the defendant guilty, what's interesting, and this could be part of the confusion. Take a look here, guys. So this is count 5, right? If you find the defendant guilty of operating motor vehicle, this is the DUI, right? Essentially, stop. You know what it doesn't say? It doesn't say, and then check next to guilty. Although, I mean, obviously, that's common sense. But if they're literally going verbatim off of these instructions, especially considering this is the clarified version, it literally tells them to stop. It doesn't say, like, you see what I mean? If you take this verbatim and follow the instructions and you're the jury, you've decided she's guilty of number 5, you just stop. If you find the defendant not guilty on this offense and all other offenses, check the first box on page 1. First box on page 1 would be here. Again, page 1 of this count, because this is 2 pages. It's still honestly so fucking convoluted and it doesn't need to be like this. So yeah, Proctor. So for anyone who's, I'm just catching up on the chat. Yeah, Proctor's doing these documentaries. 2020, is 2020 the same thing that's on the ABC? And you can see, actually, guys, you can see there's like a little trailer for it. I bet we can watch that without me getting into any trouble. Like, we can watch the little trailer for it It's pretty crazy. I know this was from a while ago. Nathan Z is saying, pull this together. What are you referencing there? Okay, Dateline is doing a 2-hour show. Okay, so 2020 is one thing and Dateline is a separate thing. I always get those two confused. So 2020, or sorry, Dateline is tomorrow. I think the 2020 is that ABC. That's tonight. So it is 2 separate documentaries. That confirms that one. Oh, interesting. Let me see if I can find that one. The town of Canton, the select board put out a statement. Let me see if I can find that one too. Yeah, tonight, I know tonight is ABC and tomorrow is NBC. Thank you guys for answering these questions that I was asking. So yeah, so in other words, 2 completely separate programs, right? It's not the same thing airing twice. So he's done, think about that. Like, why is he doing that? It's so insane. The documents should be available. The documents for what now? Are you talking about the Canton select board? Did they release the sidebars and trial one? Sidebars and criminal trials are almost never released. I've never seen them released. I know Flash, shout out Flash fan, has said that I can't remember which trial. There's some vintage trial that, y'all know how he loves reading transcripts of vintage trials. Love it. That there is something that he's got that has the sidebars included. I've never seen it in a criminal trial. The only time I've ever seen sidebars released in terms of transcripts is Depp v. Heard, obviously being civil, but that was the only time I've ever seen sidebars being released. And that's why that was such a big deal. It's relatively clear that's implied. Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like trying to read this feels like it fries my brain. And there's Flash. Did you hear me talking about you? That is so funny. How does that happen? Literally was just talking about you. What trial was it, criminal trial, that you said the transcript had sidebars? But perfect timing, because we were literally just talking about this. So let me do this. Let me see if let's do. We're gonna come back to the verdict. Let's do this. Let's see if we can find the Proctor trailer. I mean, I know I can find it. We're gonna see if we can do that, and then I'm gonna see if I can grab the Canton select board statement. So let's see here. It is wild that he's doing this. I don't know why he's doing this to himself. Like, why would you do this? Okay, here's one of them. Okay. This dude looks like a fake human. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, you'll see when I pull this up. Okay, here we go. So here's one of the trailers. You see what I mean, though? Okay.
Did you plant evidence?
Absolutely not. And I'm laughing because it's such a ridiculous accusation. It's something I would never do. I've never done.
You know, most people would.
And there's no evidence of it.
We're talking about people in your community, your neighbors, who believe it.
I mean, he's gained a lot of weight, I will say.
This is not strangers. This is people in Canton. Why do you think that is?
That's just the loud minority. The silent majority we've had an overwhelming amount of support. They're just not out there tweeting.
This is people in Canton. Why do you think that?
That's weird. The one I saw earlier was a different clip. Not a good idea. What's not a good idea? Oh, Flash says you don't see that much of him. Interesting. Okay, so there's other people who. So Flash watched the one from tonight. So who all do we hear from in it? Yeah, the one that I saw was actually worse. Let me see if I can find it. I guess so. Apparently, there's more than one trailer for this thing. Let me find it. Like, I was like shocked when the one I heard earlier. I was like, what the heck? Okay, here's one. Okay, here's another clip. Ready? This is the one I saw earlier.
Such strong negative feelings.
Sorry,
At what point did you develop such strong negative feelings about Karen Reed that you would say things like, hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word?
Those.
Okay, before we hear what he says, I want you all to let me know these text messages. When did he say those text messages? Before we hear his answer, because you guys are going to be pissed off as fuck. I mean, I was anyway. When did he send those text messages? Calling her the C word, discussing the balloon knot, all that. When in terms, and if you don't, I'm not asking for the date, but like when in terms of the chain of events after John O'Keefe was dead, when did that happen? Early on? Yep. In fact, it's like literally the first day. Welcome, Super Planner Girl. It's like literally the first day, because it's before they brought charges against her, and it's literally like it's like the first day of the investigation. And or Rose saying a couple of days. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think it's like right after they tow the car, and they still don't know anything yet, right? It's like he basically says as much. He's like, oh, here, all I know is this. Da da da. Yep. So now let's hear what he says. Let's go back to the question first. Hold on. Let's do this right. Where is Twiz anyway? All right.
At what point did you develop such strong negative feelings about Karen Reed that you would say things like, hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word?
Those feelings developed as the case went on.
I mean,
You guys hear that? One more time. I mean, really? Dude, he's going to get freaking roasted with this.
hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word.
Those feelings developed as the case went on.
And now, here's the thing. If this reporter dude doesn't say, hang on, and like literally challenge him on that, because that is completely fucking false, and it's easy to prove, and that's not even in question, then that is just the hugest fucking shame of all time. Now, he doesn't in this clip. However, we know this is edited because it's just a little trailer. I'm hoping, I guess, Flash, you saw it tonight. Does he challenge him on this, or does he just not even pick up on it? Because that's really sad if he just like doesn't even catch that, right?
Feelings developed as the case went on.
I mean, can you see how people might think, he was caught in this instance speaking about a suspect in this way. Maybe it's happened in other cases as well.
I 100% understand why people would think that. But when you have, a fellow police officer around my age, 2 kids of his own, it generates an emotion.
So now, you guys, are y'all hearing this? Now he's justifying it. If you're asking if Proctor's single, he's married, and I think he's got kids. This is wild. So he's saying they developed over time, and now he's justifying it.
We have, a fellow police officer around my age, 2 kids of his own. It generates an emotion. And I express those emotions in a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, been texting my friends anything.
He's not even naming the emotion, which is bullshit anyway. But like, if you're going to say it generates an emotion, this is so stupid. Okay, the word, if you want to try to make this more believable, you could say it made me feel angry. At least then you're stating what emotion you felt. He's just like, it generates an emotion, but doesn't say he actually felt an emotion. He doesn't even say it happened to him. It's like a hypothetical third person generating emotion situation. I have an emotion right now, and I don't even know what. I am honestly surprised because I feel like with every sentence he speaks, he somehow is to me personally, somehow finding a new low. Like he's finding a new low, hitting a new low, which is hard to even fathom.
An emotion. And I expressed those emotions in a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, been texting my friends anything. They are what they are. They don't define me as a person.
This is just, you guys see why I was like, this is the clip I saw earlier, and I was like freaking out. I was like, let's watch this again. You guys, help.
At what point did you develop such strong negative feelings about Karen Reed that you would say things like, hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word?
Those feelings developed as the case went on.
No.
I mean, can you see how people might think, he was caught in this instance speaking about a suspect in this way. Maybe it's happened in other cases as well.
I 100% understand why people would think that. But when you have, a fellow police officer around my age, 2 kids of his own, it generates an emotion. And I expressed those emotions in a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, been texting my friends anything. They are what they are. They don't define me as a person.
Unfucking believable. The right move, if you're going to appear on, if you're going to do any of this, if you're going to be on these programs, even if you're having to fake it, he should be, in my opinion, right? If you're trying to have like what would be good PR for him, right? If it's like, what would be good PR for Trooper Proctor? Because I don't know anyone or have any, for people that were like anti-Karen Reed or think she's guilty, I don't have any interaction with those people, but I know they exist. If you guys have interaction with them, let me know. Do any of them say that his text messages are not bad? Like, do they say that it's fine, there's nothing wrong with them? Because I feel like everybody can all agree that those text messages are every type of awful word in every possible way, right? There's like literally no excusing them. And so if that's the case, right? And even if it's not, like the vast majority of the population that's ever heard of this case, I think would all agree there's no excusing those text messages, right? They're going to make everybody angry and disgusted. So if you're going to come out and do this type of stuff for PR or whatever the purpose is, I would imagine the right move would have been to actually be like remorseful, even if you're having to fake it, right? To apologize, to look in the camera and say, I'm so sorry. That was a terrible thing for me. You guys see what I mean? Like, you should take responsibility. Like, this is mind blowing. I can't believe, like, why would he say this? Why?
In a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, been texting my friends anything. They are what they are. They don't define me as a person. They're regrettable.
So there's Twiz. Hi, Twiz.
Fellow police officer.
Okay, I just was backing it up because that last screen. So Twiz is finally here. It is. So let's see if there's another clip here as well. Wild, isn't it? He did. Justice Jane, happy to see you again. Is this a live stream? I don't even know. I don't know where to begin to answer that question. We are live right now. Yeah. So right, this is a live stream. We were watching a trailer for Dateline. For anyone who's just now getting here, first of all, welcome. Second of all, happy you're here. Third of all, for anyone who didn't hear this yet, Trooper Proctor is being featured apparently in 2 different documentaries, or whatever you want to call them. One already happened tonight on ABC 2020, And we're watching like the little trailers from that. So there was tonight was ABC 2020. Tomorrow night is Dateline. And somehow these were kept under wraps. Like literally, this did not come out until after the verdict, like that this was happening, I guess. Pretty crazy. I don't know how they kept that secret. The timing of the interview. Yeah, couldn't agree more. He looks very different. He looks very different. I mean, he's, you know, substantial, I would say, weight gain, you know. I'm just seeing what else you guys are saying in the chat. Yeah, I wonder if he is working anywhere though, right? Like, is he doing a different job? So Neeson is answering this question that she's never heard any of the people who are anti-Karen Read defending his text. So yeah, I mean, that's what I figured. Okay, Candace is saying, okay, so Happy Annie's saying they do make excuses. Candace is saying they feel sorry for him. He's like a little boy, didn't realize what he was doing. Interesting. So maybe not defending the text, but making excuses. So that's a little bit different. How does anyone feel sorry for this POS? I don't know. It's like a racist, nail on the head right here. It's like a racist person getting caught being racist. Yup, 100%. And I'm also pulling up some other statements here as well. Neeson, well, he's clearly a piece of shit, so expecting him to come on and apologize isn't realistic. I mean, it's just, if he wants to try to make his own image any less bad, right? Like, why else would you do this? I mean, maybe he's getting paid, but like, even if he is getting paid, I would imagine the motivation is for PR, right? To try to make people hate him less, you know? Right? Like, don't you, like, you would just think that if he's like, if there's a strategy behind it, just like people do all the time when they do this type of thing, that he would like consider that is the worst way you could possibly answer these questions. If the Commonwealth knew about this interview, should there be disclosure? That's a good question. I don't see, I mean, no, because I mean, the disclosure would have to happen if they were going to use it as evidence, right? If they were going to use it in the trial, and they didn't, right? They would have no reason to have to disclose it unless they were going to use it, if it was going to come in, you know, they were going to try to admit it as evidence. Kit Smith's welcome. We're watching these Trooper Proctor clips from his, what do you call it? Media frenzy situation. For anyone who just not, well, we're going to watch this one more time while I pull up the next thing, because this is short. And yeah, all right.
At what point did you develop such strong negative feelings about Karen Read that you would say things like, hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word?
Those feelings developed as the case went on.
I mean, can you see how people might think, he was caught in this instance speaking about a suspect in this way. Maybe it's happened in other cases as well.
I 100% understand why people would think that. But when you have, you know, a fellow police officer around my age, 2 kids of his own, it generates an emotion. And I express those emotions in a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, you know, been texting my friends anything. They are what they are. They don't define me as a person. You know, they're regrettable.
Okay, so one thing we're still going to do here is we're going to do a poll. And here's the poll we're going to do. I want to show you guys this, so this will make it relevant for the poll. So give me just a second here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do for the poll. So here's the second page again of count 2, right? Here's number 5. We know that they found her guilty of the OUI. The question I'm going to put the poll in the chat for is this. So as you can see, right, the jury got to check one or both of the following, and they didn't say this was not read aloud in open court, which is weird because, again, this is actually part of their verdict and it really should have been stated. which is a whole thing. But anyway, I'm curious, what do you guys think? And we're going to do this in the poll as to what they checked here. So let me get the poll set up while you guys just take a look at this. Also, I have not seen any of the Koberger hearing from today, but we're going to be covering that tomorrow, as well as the new filings. I did see that there was a new filing. It was the defendant's objection to the state's opposition to the motion to continue the trial date. So we will, we'll cover that filing as well as all the other new filings that aren't sealed that we were catching up on. And if anything else new comes out, as well as the hearing, we will do that tomorrow night. But it looked like the hearing was surprisingly short. I was expecting it to be long, and I think it was like less than an hour. I know Kane was streaming it, so maybe Kane can let me know. All right, so let's just get this poll set up. I do have some really fun things that I can tell some stories about as well going on tomorrow at the law firm, if anyone's interested. Okay, so here's the poll. So what boxes, we're going to call it boxes, did the jury check for OUI? So the option will be, because they can do one or both. So the first option will be, I'm just making this poll. So influence of liquor only. And then the second option will be BAC greater than 0.08% only, or both, because they can do both. They can't not do any, right? In other words, not checking any of those is not an option. They have to check one or both. So we have three options. All right, so let's start the poll. Hopefully that is clear and makes sense. There it is. What boxes did the jury check for OUI? Influence of liquor only, BAC greater than 0.08 only, or both? And this is just, what do you guys think? Okay, so that is done. Next, I need to pull up, let's see. Pull up this one. Oh, there's actually, okay, we're going to go to the Town of Canton's official website. How about that? Okay, here we go. So here's the statement from the Canton Select Board Chair, John McCourt, from today. The Town of Canton acknowledges today's verdict in the Commonwealth's case against Karen Reed. The town respects the legal process and the role of the jury in weighing the facts and rendering a verdict. We thank the members of the jury for their service and attention over the past several weeks. This case has been the subject of intense public interest, scrutiny, and speculation for 3 years. Our community has been deeply affected. Today's outcome may bring a sense of relief to some and continue to raise questions for others. We encourage members of the community to move forward together, treating one another with respect through civil, constructive dialogue. If anybody wants me to pull that up on the screen so we can read it again and you guys can actually see it, let me know. And we do have another statement from the McAlberts, as it were. All right, let me see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Apparently you don't get paid for these interviews. So that's always been my understanding, Needs and Z's. I know I'm behind on chat. That's always been my understanding. But the thing that the only reason why I mentioned it is because when like on other channels and whatnot, whenever people ask, how come Karen Reed did all those media interviews? A lot of people respond with, well, you know, you can't, she must have needed the money because of all the legal fees, right? And it's like, yes, of course she needs money for the legal, you know, of course, right? But like a lot of people thought it was like to raise money. My understanding is that you don't get paid. And that's always been my understanding. So that was the only reason why I was like, well, maybe maybe there's an exception that applies to this case. I don't know. But that's the reason I mentioned it, is because a lot of other people talk about it. But I don't know. That might just be them speculating, because every time that people talk about this that are actual journalists, they say you don't get paid for the shit. So Kelly says, Bettero said there's no way he's getting paid for these interviews. He said this is 100% his people trying to rehab him, which is exactly why it's so weird that he didn't grovel about the text messages. You know what I mean? What does that say? I think it's what I think I just read it to you. Whatever. I know that was from a couple minutes ago. There's not much to see on it. What are you guys talking about? Not much to see? What are you guys referencing here? Are you guys referencing what's on the screen now? Because it's actually quite important, because this is what you guys are looking at on the screen right now is what they found her guilty of. And she was acquitted on everything else. Right here, number 5, the OUI, which is the same as a DWI, same as a DUI. That's the only thing she was found guilty of. And the question in the poll, I have this up so that it makes sense as per the poll because of the options underneath it. So there wasn't much to see from the hearing today. Okay, thank you, Go. Thank you, though. Welcome, Eddie Haskell. I think you've been here before, but welcome back. The best move for Proctor is relocating to North Korea. Yeah, right? Can't disagree with that one. Heard the feds are going to be charging. Where did you hear that? That sounds like it could be rumor. Where did you hear that? Yeah, we're going to pull up the McAlberts here in just a sec. So, and for anyone else who is newer or hasn't been here in a while, feel free to join the Discord. Also, feel free to become a member if you want. We'll be doing more members only stuff here now that this trial is finished. We'll have more time for that. And still on the one of the upcoming plans was for me to read my appellate brief that I wrote. Or wait, that's not the right command. Oh my God, there we go. But also we do have some lovely custom emojis that you guys can use if you're members, including red solo cups. We've got Mr. Alessi. We've got some fun ones. We've got Judge Bev with her doppelganger, which is the dragon from Sword and Stone, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, now I'm all caught up on the chat. It's harder when I've got different screens up, right? So the screens when I'm showing stuff to you guys that's separate than where StreamYard is. So if we're watching testimony or whatever, if it's a video, I can look at both at the same time. But if I'm reading anything, I'm like having to like look at the other screens and I'm literally not able to see the chat. So that's why. Okay, so now let's pull up the McAlberts statements. Okay. So here's this one. Statement from, you know what's so funny though, is that Carrie Roberts is grouped in. Statement from Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Colin Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, Carrie Roberts, and Kurt Roberts. He wasn't even involved. Anyway, today our hearts are with John and the entire O'Keefe family. They have suffered through so much and deserved better from our justice system. While we may have more to say in the future, today we mourn with John's family and lament the cruel reality that this prosecution was infected by lies and conspiracy theories spread by Karen Reed, her defense team, and some in the media. The result is a devastating miscarriage of justice. So there's that. And now let's go back. I'll pull this up so you guys can see it. This is going to be the statement from the Canton Select Board. So here we go. They acknowledge the verdict. The town respects the legal process and the role of the jury in weighing the facts and rendering a verdict. We thank the members of the jury for their service and attention over the past several weeks. This case has been the subject of intense public interest, scrutiny, and speculation for 3 years. Our community has been deeply affected. Now, this is the one part I found the most interesting here. Today's outcome may bring a sense of relief to some and continue to raise questions for others. Interesting. We encourage members of the community to move forward together, treating one another with respect through civil constructive dialogue. So there you go. So, you know, we will see. The only person that we've heard from that said that the federal investigation was over, that came only from Breenan's mouth. And so I don't find that to be the most credible source, and we've not heard it from anywhere else. So, I mean, I think that there's a number of people who think it's entirely possible that there is still an investigation ongoing. The other thing is this: they can always reopen it, right? I think that, especially in the wake of this verdict, that if it wasn't already happening is extremely likely. Will we know about it? Probably not. Not until if something happens, if there's like some sort of subsequent actions taken, like arrests or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's still something going on with that. Where's Higgins' statement? I don't think there is one that I've seen yet. And you know, speaking of which, that's funny because they did not include him in this group. You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, Twiz, because check it out. That's interesting. He got left out. Look, he got left out of the group. He's missing from this. That is very interesting. Huh. Why didn't they include him? Huh. Very interesting. Hi, James. Welcome. Move gears. What do you mean by move gears, Flash? Asking about the wrongful death suit. What do you mean by move gears? Interesting. Oh, move forward with the wrongful death suit. Well, that's totally up to the O'Keefe family. And so I would expect probably, yes, I would expect them to move forward with it because I think their feelings have been quite clear on how they feel about this entire situation. So I would expect them to move forward with the wrongful death suit. Yeah, needs to be saying she doesn't believe that the investigation is closed. Yeah, I don't either. So for anyone who's just now getting here, take a look at the poll if you feel so inclined. And now we're going to hop back on over to the verdict from today. And we will keep an eye out for, again, any other clips that pop up from, you know, anybody really. But, and if you guys see something, always feel free to let me know, whether it be a juror or something else notable from somebody else involved. All right, so here we go.
Judge Canoni.
Okay, so they're just doing this thing. So we're going to go forward a little bit here. So at this point, where we left off, right, was it was the fake verdict, right? Or the false verdict, like a false memory. And they're like, okay, we're waiting. We're back to waiting for a verdict, right? That's where we are here. We're waiting for the actual real world verdict. And now, do you guys remember this moment? There it is. Verdict is in. There's the official clock. Clock stopped at 21 hours, 0 minutes, 17 seconds. Oh my God. I'm like so nervous, even though we all know what the verdict is. I've watched it multiple times. There's no way I'm not going to be super nervous once they start talking. I mean, I'm already nervous. Oh my God, this was so nerve-wracking. So Super Planner Girl, feel free to let us know if you think you know what happened with the fake verdict. Karen, are you asking about Karen? Because she does speak out after this, doesn't she? I can't even remember anymore. Oh, yeah, she does. She does. She speaks out. We'll get to that because she speaks out. Her dad speaks out. A number of people speak out. Turtleboy speaks out, to the media and whatnot when they leave the courthouse. So we will watch that here shortly because the verdict happens quickly. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it settles either because, yeah, her insurance company will pay for it. Yeah, that's how those things normally go. Anyway. I mean, I guess I could have gone to the next timestamp, but I didn't want to miss it because sometimes these timestamps are not exactly accurate. Me too, Flash. We're going to hear that in just a second.
Are unmuted.
He's such a weasel. Here we go. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The deliberating jurors remain standing. Defendant remains standing. All other parties may be seated.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that 12 deliberating jurors and 6 alternates are
Oh
present.
my God.
Yes.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict?
Yes.
Thank you. May I see the papers? Mr. Foreman, have the verdicts been placed in this envelope and have they been in your presence ever since?
Great point. Let's watch this again and watch her face, dude. The thing is they tried. They tried. She tried. Breenan tried. Morrissey tried. They tried and tried and tried down to the last second, and they finally lost against justice. It is an incredible day, guys. Let's watch her face. It's kind of hard to see because of her bangs, but she does the very decisive type of paper stacking the way Breenan always does it, doesn't she? Right there.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you? No. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do all of you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
Of.
All right, well, let's watch this again. I'll pull this comment back down for a second so we can watch Paul O'Keefe's reaction to this. This is on count 2, okay? All right.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
Of.
Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct?
Yes.
So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Guilty.
So say you all?
Yes.
003, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident?
Well, as you can see, they don't actually ask them. That whole thing was fumbled, right? As you guys can tell with count 2. Judge Bev kind of threw a monkey wrench in whatever his plan was by interjecting. And anyway, the question never gets asked as to how they found that in terms of our poll that we have going on right now, right? But let's just hear this one more time because this was very confusing and very nerve-wracking because it was like really hard to hear. And I was like, what the fuck are they saying? And I couldn't tell if it was like, did they completely quit entirely of count 2 or did they go with the lesser included? And then it, became more clear.
Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or any lesser included charge. Thank you. Specifically number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all?
Oh, hold on. What is he? Hold on.
Operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08.
He's reading both options. And he's reading the full name of the charge, right? So specifically number 5.
Operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or
that's both options.
greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes.
So yeah, I mean, that could be that he's just reading the full fucking, lesser included title, right? That could be that he's reading it because they checked both boxes. It's just not clear. And anyway, y'all.
So say you all?
Yes.
003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? The defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you.
Right there. Oh my God, you guys. When this happened live, it was so hard to hear and tell what was going on. It wasn't really clear to me what was happening in court until what I heard louder than anything that was going on in court when I was watching this live was I heard that outside. And when I heard that, that's when I understood what was going on better than what was happening in the courtroom. Plus, it was also just a very surreal entire thing.
Specifically number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all?
Yes.
003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? The defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court.
Imagine if you're on this. This is my first thought with this. Imagine being a juror, right? Let's just say you're a juror, one of these jurors, and you maybe had heard of this trial, but you really don't have a full understanding of what is going on outside of being a juror, right? In terms of the support that she has and the, whatever, right? Imagine you're a juror and you're just like, here you are, you're rendering your verdict and you don't really know how people are going to feel about it, right? And you'd have in other words, you don't have a really good read on like what the public sentiment is. And of course, in this case, it's quite, there's people on both sides or whatever. But imagine imagine you're a juror and you've rendered your verdict and you're like, you hope you did the right thing, right? They really gave it their all. They took a lot of time. In my mind, these jurors are absolute fucking heroes. But these jurors wouldn't maybe know, I could imagine it being nerve-wracking, right? If you're a juror. And then imagine hearing that sound as you're sitting there hearing the verdicts being read.
Well,
yes.
003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? The defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict.
I don't think anyone could have expected that, right? Because even if a juror knew the case, I don't know that they could know what the public reaction would be. I mean, I that was crazy, right? Even when you're following all this, like we are. I mean, I've never heard that. I've never seen that happen in a trial where you can hear it like that. Like that is crazy. I want to hear it again.
So say you all?
Yes.
003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? The defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records that you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is.
Oh my God, they're still cheering. I just lost it, you guys, when I heard that cheering. I was like, this is, again, surreal. It's like it almost, again, it felt like, would we ever get here? It felt like we wouldn't ever get here. And I didn't really realize that until now that we're here. I'm like, oh my God, this seems like so surreal,
Or guilty. So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records that you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty,
Wow.
on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
They do almost sound.
All right,
I mean,
jurors, everybody please be seated.
This is crazy.
Jurors, we thank you for your service.
And they're still cheering. Can you imagine being one of these jurors? I mean, it's like jurors are also important when they do their job correctly and they render a verdict and they're performing their civic duty. But in this particular case, on this particular day, these jurors are like the heroes that we thought we might never get. Like, could anyone, like, when you look at how much they tried, again, they being the Commonwealth and Judge Bev and Breenan and everyone that tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, even if they could just only get a hung jury, they tried and tried and tried. And it's like, to me, in my mind, these jurors like did the impossible. Like, they did the impossible. They're like absolute fucking heroes. I know that we all really needed to see this. I mean, it's like, to me, this is bigger than Karen Reed, because I know that a lot of people have been losing faith in the justice system and in jurors, especially after what happened in Delphi. And that it's like been a real thing, that it's been a struggle, right? It's been a struggle. This, I think, can give people hope. And in the wake of all of the obstacles and all of the odds and how bad they tried, and they were able to do this, it's just really incredible.
Guilty on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
All right, jurors, everybody please be seated. Jurors, we thank you for your service. We're going to send you back. Your service is complete. I'd like to come back and talk to you for a little bit afterwards. So thank you very much.
All rise. Jurors, follow me.
Wow.
Media, please exit the courtroom immediately.
Karen Reed.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tony,
Hold on,
not yet.
hold on,
Not
everyone.
yet.
Karen Reed. Ms. Reed, can I have your attention? As required by statute, I must inform you that the records regarding the charges that you have been found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation in writing within 10 days that you do not want these records sealed. To request that these records not be sealed, you may use the Request Not to Seal form, which is posted on the trial court's website on mass.gov. I cannot accept the form here in court. You must submit it to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form. Please be aware that if the records regarding the charges which you have been found not guilty are sealed, you will be unable to access the sealed record of the not guilty dispositions or any other records regarding those charges. If you want copies of any documents regarding those charges before the records are sealed, you should request copies from the court within 10 days. Do you understand? Thank you.
All right, so we need a date for sentencing. Can we do it next week?
We would be prepared to go forward today.
Okay.
Get it done.
Okay.
Get it done. All right. So they come back pretty quickly here. Yeah, I know. We were all crying. They're still cheering outside. All right. All right. Here we go. Wow.
All right, so Mr. Yannetti, you ready to go forward today as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Brennan, what's the Commonwealth's recommendation?
Your Honor, the Commonwealth moves to sentencing. We recommend probation, 1 year, 24D program.
So the standard that everybody else gets on their first time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
We ask that she be treated no differently, no better.
So I'm happy to do it. All right, thank you all.
1 year probation, 1 year probation on docket number 002, the lesser included offense of operating under the influence. 1 year probation. Thank you.
And then, like, I was just going to say that I cried more than once. I cried again here. Like, I cried, obviously, like, when I heard that crowd cheer, like I said earlier, when they read the verdict, and then again here. I mean, And this is also very surprising from Brennan, right?
Commonwealth moves to sentencing. We recommend probation, 1 year, 24D program.
So the standard that everybody else gets on their first time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
We ask that she be treated no differently, no better.
So I'm happy to do it.
He's saying we ask that she be treated no different, that she not be treated differently, no better. So because here's the thing, he's asking for what a normal person on a standalone, or as they call it, a naked DUI, DWI, OUI charge, right? A first time offender, never had one before in Massachusetts. The standard result of that, the standard disposition, is 1 year probation, and then they have to do like a little class or whatever, right? So Brennan recommends that. So
1 year, 24D program.
So the standard that everybody else gets on their first time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
We ask that she be treated no differently, no better.
So I'm happy to do it. All right. Thank you all.
1 year probation, 1 year probation on docket number 002, the lesser.
and that's it. 1 year probation. It's a fucking miracle, guys. Brennan needs to go to an island. An island is too good. That sounds nice. I liked the suggestion earlier about North Korea. Or no, that was for Michael Proctor. Well, Brennan can go as well. How about that? Welcome, Annie Ruler. And you're very welcome, guys. Those of you guys who are thanking me in the chat, you're very welcome. I'm happy to be here with you guys. You guys are what make this awesome. You guys are what make this awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. Needs some saying it would have looked horrible if they did give more than this, but I fully expected them to give the max. So did I. I expected Brennan to ask for something completely and absolutely ridiculous, and he didn't. And again, it's like whoever said it, I agree. It was like the only thing he's done this entire time that has been reasonable, you know? Okay.
Included offense of operating under the influence, 1 year probation. Thank you. The 24D program is. Thank you.
Immediately. All right.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for liking and sharing, Annie. So what a day. Now to remember, for those of you guys who didn't see it, there's some statements that happen here as well. But I think that we probably all want to watch this. This is just an incredible moment, right? An incredible, like, wow. Again, it's like they pulled off the impossible. Like, it's like the thing that should have happened the first time. Well, she shouldn't have been charged to begin with. Shouldn't have had a trial to begin with, right? But if those things happened, which they did, it's like this should have been the result of the first. It's like, again, it's like mind-boggling that it's like we should have been here a long time ago, or not even had to be here, but yet it felt impossible that we would ever actually get here. You know, it's just such a surreal thing. Yeah, I hope the jurors speak out. Really, really, really hope so. They won't go after anyone else. No, there's no way. Once you've already charged somebody with tried somebody, there's no way they're not going to go after. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be something resulting from the Fed investigation or whatever, right? That's a whole separate thing. But as far as the Commonwealth, they're not going to charge anybody else with this. So there's really not going to be any justice for John O'Keefe in terms of justice for whoever was involved, unless that comes from something like the federal investigation, if that is still ongoing, which again, I think it is. The jurors are saints. Yeah. The jurors are heroes, absolute fucking heroes. They're absolute fucking heroes. I mean, okay, so we're going to jump ahead to so here we have.
And the justice that people were seeking was, hey, this is the United States of America. We want justice. So for all these folks, they believe justice was served today. They believe justice was served. And again, the anticipation of the moment, no one's going to leave.
Charges in this case.
Dedham, our coverage of the Karen Reed not guilty.
Here's Vinny, being Vinny. Okay, they went away.
Back to our continuing coverage of the verdict and the. It's taken a while for them to come out. It's an emotional day. It's an emotional moment. Matt Johnson, can you hear me now? It is so loud. Yeah, it is so loud. Matt can't hear me across. Yep. Michael Ayala, there have been emotional trials before. There have been people invested in the outcomes, but it's never been under these circumstances. I'm wondering what you think about what's happening outside the courthouse right now. The chance of justice for John O'Keefe, the chance of lockup Jen, referring to Jennifer McCabe.
Yeah, it just reminds me, Vinny, of the O.J. Simpson case. It just does.
There you go, Punch.
I know that's not something people like to talk about, but
I'm just gonna go forward a little bit more to where. Wow, I love getting this perspective though, where they backed up with the cameras or zoomed out.
represents all of them. They all have issues with the police out there, the corruption, the culture. She represents all of them, all the problems they've had over the years. And now it's come to this point and they're just letting that emotion show.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to sneak in a quick break. When we come back, our continuing coverage of the verdict in the retrial of the century.
Okay, here
Karen Reed
Here we
basically.
go. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, let me back it up. Here we go, guys.
Downtown Dedham, not guilty, Karen Reed, and she's about to exit the courthouse. This moment will speak for itself.
Did anyone notice that she's wearing blue? Did anyone notice that she's wearing blue? And I think, look at Jackson's tie. I think he's wearing a blue tie. Wow. 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 Yep. Wow.
The Celtics won the NBA title last year.
Wow.
On the Friday last year, they had the parade. Now, a whole different ball.
I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters who have supported me and my team financially and, more importantly, emotionally for almost 4 years. And the second thing I want to say is no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have and my team. Thank you.
So do you want to see it reopen?
I thought that was a really important thing for her to say, and I'm really glad she said it, right? That the part about seeking justice for John O'Keefe, that's really important. Even though I know his family doesn't want to hear it, it's important. It was important to me, and I'm glad she said it.
4 years. And the second thing I want to say is no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have and my team. Thank you.
So do you want to see it reopen? Karen, you want to see the case reopen? Should the case be reopened? No, the case cannot be reopened. Alan, what case is over? No, I mean the case searching for someone else. What does it say about justice? I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to Karen. Let her dad. Let her dad.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge the strength of our daughter Karen. The support of the entire Reed extended family. I want to acknowledge the greatest team of attorneys. Our first one that we found was David Yannetti. We added Alan Jackson and Liza Little. Bob Alessi, you know about. All right. There was a fantastic team, but we needed them all to defeat this. We thank everybody for their support from the heart. We love you all of the content providers who help spread the word. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
The investigation.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Dude, they just shoved that one guard or whatever out of the way. Watch this. Look at the dude with the mustache and the hat and the glasses.
Help spread the word. Thank
You
you
know
so
what?
much. God bless you. The investigation be real.
Pushes him out of the way.
Karen, what is life like going to be for you now?
And here's the other thing. I think, guys, imagine if there was an ARCA. Imagine if they didn't have ARCA. They could have found other experts, certainly. But I think without ARCA, like just that one thing, without Dr. Rentschler, without Dr. Rentschler and without Dr. Wolf, this could have been a very different outcome, in my opinion. I mean, their experts were great. In fact, even, of course, a lot of the Commonwealth experts were really great for her. But if you imagine this trial, imagine the same exact trial, but imagine if you just subtract Dr. Wolf and Dr. Rentschler, what you end up losing is there was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision in the way that it was presented, right? You could try to go off of like the injuries based on like the ME and, and but it would have been a completely different situation, in my opinion. I really think that it'll be interesting to see what happens if the jury speaks out, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of them speak out and say that like literally ARCA sealed the deal for them. I wouldn't be surprised.
Karen.
I know.
Karen,
Yeah,
what is life going to be like for you now? How do you feel? What is life going to be? Karen, how do you feel? Get her in the car. Hey, you okay? You okay? You okay?
I wonder if they're asking if he's saying that to the dude who got shoved out of the way. Who knows? That's the question. So I'm going to go ahead a little bit here because I think there's a Turtleboy. Oh, so
Accuse prosecutors and law enforcement of a conspiracy of criminal home in front of the unbelievable moment. Unbelievable moment. The swarm of pink is now moving from the front of the courthouse down towards the SUVs as Karen Reed and her defense team settle into this moment. Settle into an unusual moment in our system of criminal justice. A not guilty verdict in a murder trial. It doesn't happen often, folks. It really doesn't. When you accuse prosecutors and law enforcement of a conspiracy, it is rare that a jury believes that is reasonable. It just happened in this case. It was about trying to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt and a jury finding reasonable doubt in every criminal charge that mattered in this case. Operating under the influence is the only one that they found her guilty of. Matt Johnson on the street as well. Matt.
Bringing this to the forefront.
Yes, I can tell you that we just got a comment from Mr. Reed. He's making his way to his SUV as they're all making their way out of this situation after the verdict. And he was saying that he was thankful to all the supporters and thankful to the media for drawing attention to this case. Dominated this community for more than 3 years. As for Karen Reed, I was really trying to get a comment for her about what life will be like now that she is no longer a murder defendant. She had no comment. I asked her probably 4 or 5 times. She did not make any comment other than what she said at the podium, really thanking her supporters out here and also thanking all of the media that have been out here and her defense team that have been working on this for the past 3 years. And then she's added to that for this second trial, adding Pro Vice Robert Alessi, and also adding a former juror to her team, a lot of interns that were also researching.
I'm just going to go ahead a little bit to see if we get to the Turtleboy. got to be here soon because the stream's almost over. Okay, let's just see here. This is a funny thing that they've got going on here with Court TV. Interesting. I guess they're trying out a new thing. I was literally thinking the same thing, Fender. I was like, oh, maybe I misheard. Yeah, he said pro vice. And I was like, wait, what? He meant pro hoc vice, but that is interesting. I heard that too. And I was like, oh, maybe that was just my brain. But no, Fender heard it. So that confirms he said pro vice, not pro hoc vice. Okay, well, let's just use the slider deal to get, oh, well, never mind. Here it is.
Breaking news, the verdict is in the retrial of the century. Karen Reed,
Love
not guilty of every charge that mattered. Not guilty of murder. Not guilty of manslaughter. Not guilty of leaving the scene of an act.
1 year probation. In some ways, that actually is more poignant than like if she'd been fully acquitted, in the sense that, like, imagine, like, okay, what am I trying to say? In some ways, that is more poignant to me than if she had nothing. Like, it's like you've nothing, because the 1 year probation really minimizes, like, when you think about the disparity of the sentences that were available to her, you know what I mean? Versus like no sentence. The 1 year probation to me just, you know what it's like? It's like saying if somebody's going to grade the strength of the Commonwealth case, right? It's like saying no comment. I'm just not going to comment on it. I'm not going to grade it at all, right? Like that, versus saying, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 100, it gets a 1. You see what I mean? Does that make sense to give that analogy? That's how I feel about this. Like, every time I think about that 1 year probation, I'm like, it's like, I don't even know how to put it. It's just exactly the right. It's like the sentence itself is commenting on the Commonwealth case in a way, as if that makes sense.
Incident, guilty of one lesser included, the least of the lesser included, operating under the influence. I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of this verdict. Depending upon how you looked at this case, was either shocking or...
I didn't see that.
For me, being at Court TV all these years, anytime I hear the words not guilty uttered from a courtroom, I think it's surprising. Because remember, it's the prosecution who chooses the cases they want to bring. They thought they could win this. They didn't win it the first time. They thought they could win it the second time, and they didn't. They did not meet their burden of beyond any and all reasonable doubt. Apparently, looking at the charges, the elements, this jury did not believe beyond a reasonable doubt that there was a collision. That
No, he changed his tie. I'm pretty sure he was wearing a purple tie earlier, and during one of the breaks, he must have put a red tie on.
His SUV struck John O'Keefe. I've got my incredible colleagues from our Court TV team with us, including Matt Johnson.
Okay, Dennis, I'm going to try to get to the Turtleboy. I know that's on here somewhere, which, I mean, he deserves it. Like, as we all know, he's really single-handedly responsible for bringing attention to this case. And it could be a completely different situation, not just because of attention, right? But just think about even the fact that so much money was raised to help pay for her defense, stuff like that, right? Like, people put in a lot of effort. Like, it wasn't just like attention. It was like a group community team effort for her, right? And none of that would have happened, you know, were not for somebody like Turtleboy. And I don't know who else would have done it, to be honest, right? Because it took somebody who was willing to really push the limits of what people would find polite or acceptable, right? As you know, you guys all know, I don't have to describe it. I mean, it's got to be here any second. I'm pretty sure. If it's not on here, well, I'll pull up separately, but I thought it was here as well. Okay, no, I guess it's not. All right, let me pull that up real quick. I mean, exactly. He's been jailed because of his support for Karen Reed. Exactly. Oh, Heather's here. Welcome, Heather. I saw somebody ask how many cough drops I ate during all this. The answer is none because I was at the law firm. But I definitely wanted to be eating cough drops. That's for sure. So yeah, let me just find this real quick. I'm pretty sure that once he talks, or speaks out, that's the last of the post-verdict interviews at the courthouse or whatever. I'm pretty sure. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Been very involved in this trial. To see the verdict today, what was your reaction?
It was emotional, man. It was just, it's something I've been dreaming about for a long time, and to actually live it, it hasn't set in yet what happened. It was just, I've been mentally preparing for this day for a long time, both the worst and the best. And I'm so happy that it was the best.
And how would you characterize what you've done for this trial?
I'd like to think I've shined a spotlight on it, you know, with my journalism and my activism with this. I've exposed several lies that the district attorney has, you know, put out there. And like, for instance, speaking with Lucky Loughran, who is a major witness for the defense in this case, I interviewed him before the state police did. I found him. I found the plow driver who didn't see a body at 2:30 when he went by, who saw a Ford Edge. I found him when the state police couldn't. And 2 days later, they responded to my article by interviewing him themselves because they had no choice. So I'd like to think that, you know, I put a spotlight on it. I made it sure that I made it so that they couldn't hide what they were doing.
Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of high profile cases, we haven't seen the social media outreach that we saw in this case. Do you feel that you're responsible in some way for the verdict today?
I think I had a little to do with the social media aspect of it. I don't know about the verdict because these are 12 impartial jurors.
Right. He's right. Yeah, that's a good answer. Not the verdict, but definitely everything else. I mean, yeah. So how did he get involved? So he's been, I know there's people in the chat who probably watch his channel and know a lot more about him than I do. I just know what I've seen from like a couple different times he's been on other channels, and like, basically what I know is he was like a history teacher or something, right? And then, but he was always like a journalist and a blogger or whatever. And like, he like quit his job or something at being a teacher and decided to like, and this was before Karen Reed happened, right? And like decided to like go full time as like a journalist. And somehow he just heard about this and like this whole thing with Karen Reed. And I think it was after she had been, I think it was like maybe a year or something after she was charged. Like it wasn't like at the very beginning. It was like, but at that time, nobody was really talking about it except maybe some local people, right? But he heard about it from somebody and like, or someone recommended he look into it. So he started looking into it, and literally he from there is the reason why this has like nationwide, if not worldwide attention. But not only that, because of the attention, and especially with like all of the fuckery, you know, it has enabled people and allowed people to actually try to, first of all, create avenues for change in Canton, right? In terms of the law enforcement, the biased, you know, all the shit, right? The government, DA Morrissey, like this whole system in Canton that is really corrupt and like rancid. It's enabled them for people to start finding avenues of trying to make changes there, right? One step at a time. But the other thing it has allowed people to fundraise for Karen, right? Because even though or at least I don't know about last trial, but this trial, you know, we've heard that the attorneys were working pro bono. However, as y'all know, it would still cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for the trial, right? For all the experts and all the, like, there's so many expenses, right? So even though the attorneys like donated their time, you know, in other words, I think that this crowdsourcing or whatever you call it, fan funding, whatever, like, I think were it not for that, it wouldn't have been possible, right? I mean, it wouldn't have been possible for her to have this defense team. So when you work it on back, it really all started with Turtleboy, who allowed for all those other things to be possible, including, right, Karen to have this defense team. And so Yep. Without Eden, the internet and MSM would not know about Karen Reed. Yep. Yeah, Massachusetts has these crazy laws when it comes to witness intimidation. You know, they call it that, but it's really just bullshit and it's craziness. Don't ever go to Massachusetts, guys. The defense team raised, or the defense fund raised over $1 million. Yep. Yeah, they were a dream team for sure. He exposed the assholes and pressed them. Yep. And here's a great synopsis. He's an independent journalist who reports on local politics, criminals, etc. And then he started reporting on it, and he got millions of views about it. And he did standouts fundraisers. Yep. That's right. Thank you, Annie. I do remember seeing that he saw the Haas long to die. Right. It was the Jen McCabe text that got him looking into it, right? That does ring a bell. I think I did hear that. He's responsible for getting Karen the kind of funding she did. Yep. Yeah, the window intimidation is just crazy. Like fucking Robin Hood. Yep. We need to support Aiden just as much as Karen. Yep, I agree. I totally agree. And I really hope, I mean, just thinking about just the aftermath of this, guys, like I hope the jury doesn't need to like worry about their safety. You know what I mean? Because God forbid, I've always I've never planned and would never want to set foot in Massachusetts. But I tell you what, if people start fucking with those jurors, I might have to get my squirrel tail on up there no, people better not fuck with those jurors. I swear to God. Of all the things, right? They in my mind, they are literal heroes as much as any hero that you can name. I mean, like they are my personal heroes right now and will be for forever. I mean, they literally, I don't even have words for how much gratitude I have for those jurors. I can't even put it into words. So let's watch this
decision. But I'd like to think that some of the evidence that was presented to them in court was a result of my journalism and my influence and my activism online. And so in that regard, and just spreading the word about it, man. Like I've been doing standouts. We put up billboards all over Norfolk County for Free Karen Reed. I made a video called Framed that's gotten over 1 million views. So it was almost impossible to live in Norfolk County and not know about this case. I spread awareness about it. They wanted this to be in the darkness. They did not want anyone to know what was going on in here. And I made that impossible for them.
Anything else you want to mention? I guess seeing the verdict out, were you outside?
I was inside. I was in the courtroom.
In there. What was it like inside the courtroom?
The most emotional experience I've ever been a part of. It was like an emotional roller coaster. Just seeing Karen Reed and her team in there, how nervous they were. Alan Jackson pacing around like I've never seen him before. Like unknown, not knowing what was about to happen. It was crazy. And to finally hear not guilty, was just, you realize, oh my God, it's over. Karen Reed is free. It's finally over.
Well, now there's the question though, who killed John O'Keefe?
I know who killed John O'Keefe. The people inside Brian Albert's house did. I don't know who exactly delivered the fatal blow, but Brian Albert was in there, Colin Albert was in there, Brian Higgins was in there, and the dog was in there. And quite frankly, every single person inside that house who has remained silent is just as guilty as the people who delivered the fatal blows to John. They did it.
So there you go, guys. There you go. And James is saying thank you again. Thank you, James. You're always so kind and always willing to share your appreciation and support, which we love. We love having you here. So thank you for being here. Yep, 100% agree that he just said, yep. Yeah. And DA Morrissey, there needs to be fallout. And it's just going to be really interesting to see what all plays out, right? Like, another question, what will Breenan do next, right? What will Brennan do next? Also, I'm glad I thought of this because one of the most important things to me to say, and I totally didn't think of it. And I almost forgot to say it, right? I almost forgot to make this point because this was one of the things that was really significant to me also. When you look at the first trial last year that was tried by Lolly, and you look at their expert witness for the accident reconstruction, which was Trooper Paul. So last year, you had Lolly and you had Trooper Paul. This year, you had Brennan and you had Aperture, which, you know, they spent at least $400,000 on, right? But Lolly and Trooper Paul managed to get a hung jury. Think about that. And then all the money they spent on Brennan, right? They spent all this money on Brennan. They throw all this money at Brennan. They throw all this money at Aperture. They have, and then you look at who's trying the case, right? And then who's the main witness? It's going to be the accident reconstructionist, right? So I will say this much. I hope Lolly feels a little bit better. Not that I mean, in other words, maybe he had a little bit of a smile, right? That after all this, he was able to pull off a hung jury and Brennan wasn't. Joe Flipperhead preview. What's the Joe Flipperhead preview? I'll pull it up. I just don't know what that is. Kim says, I seriously have less stress, or sorry, I still have stress let down tonight. I'm exhausted. Yeah, I know how you feel. Mary says she appreciates members like James and Heather who all say thanks and remind us to like the stream. I appreciate that as well. Yep, Lolly at least got a hung jury. Brennan failed miserably. Yep. And again, even when you think like, look, Trooper Paul, right? Trooper Paul versus Aperture. It's just crazy. Like Trooper Paul with his "it just did." It's amazing to me. Look up the channel. So, but when you said it's a preview, Free and Karen Reed preview. Okay, I'll look it up. Is it a recent video on his channel? The preview thing? Oh, I see. I see what it is. I see. Okay, here, I'll pull this up. Okay. Thank you so much for this suggestion. Need some Z's? All right, here we go.
At Boston DPW, salt trucks are loading up by the dozens. City officials say this will be a blockbuster event, and the Boston residents need to be prepared for this one.
As you know, a major winter storm is forecasted to reach Boston tomorrow morning.
A snow emergency has been declared, which goes into effect at 9 p.m. tonight.
This is likely to be an intense, dangerous storm with heavy snow, high winds, and whiteout conditions.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
I don't see blankets carried.
911, what's emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
He passed out, yes. 34, the Albert resident, yes.
Breaking right now at noon, new details about the moments leading up to the death of the Boston police officer. Defendant in this case,
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed. Karen Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed. Karen Reed. Karen Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed. Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
Karen Reed led into court in handcuffs. She pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe.
did they say pleaded guilty? Hold on.
Homicide and manslaughter.
Karen Reed led into court in handcuffs. She pleaded not guilty to second
not guilty. Okay, I was about to say, wait, what? Mainstream media, are they getting things wrong?
degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe.
Each defense attorney says she's innocent.
That there was a lot of political pressure on this district attorney's office to bring charges in light of the fact that a police officer was the victim here. Disappointed in the rush to judgment against my client. It's been unfairly targeted. You're not going to lay down and just acquiesce in the police theory of this case, because we believe the police theory of the case is wrong.
The first time Karen was arrested, and my paralegal told me that a guy named Mike had called the office and he has important information for me.
And this person said, in almost whispered tones,
you know, it was like a holy smokes moment.
You need to look at the folks inside 34 Fairview.
Perhaps someone else caused the death of John O'Keefe.
Sure as God made black and white, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time.
This case is a little different and potentially a lot different. Here's the thing. Karen Reed has supporters. Take a look at what is actually happening in Dedham, Massachusetts when there are hearings in this case. Take a look.
Listen up, sir, and I'll speak slowly so you understand. Michael Morrissey, we ain't got no quit.
Yeah.
They're coming after the only journalist who's actually reporting what happened. And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed. Period.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar.
That fucker right there, guys. Dude.
Go and tell that midnight rider.
Wow.
Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter. Tell him that God's gonna cut him down.
Okay, there she is. Wow. So I guess so. This Joe Flipperhead. So does he just basically? It looks like these are clips from things that already exist, like, and then he like compiles them. I mean, he did a great job. So it looks like he's coming out with a series or a. It says this is a preview, so I guess he's making this like type of thing. But yeah, very well done, very very well done, and love the music as well. Dude, this little sailboat's on his tie. Just I can't with him. So yeah, we will keep an eye out for whatever else comes out. I mean, remember tomorrow we've got the Proctor fucking Dateline coming out for those of you guys who have cable and whatnot and can watch that. But tomorrow night here we will be doing covering the Cobra hearing and again catching up on the latest filings as well. But having said that, if let's say there's some jurors that speak out or there's some other aftermath like fallout of this verdict, something like that, then we'll probably do that because, you know, we've got plenty of time. I think the next Cobra hearing isn't for like another month or longer. So anyway, so that'll be the plan. We'll be doing Cobra unless there's some other crazy things that happen with this that would be really worth looking into. And you guys, any of y'all that use social media, If you guys come across anything, feel free to send it to me on Discord because I don't use Twitter and whatnot. So generally, if I'm finding out about things, I'm hearing it word of mouth or like through YouTube. So if you guys do learn like there's something crazy going down, just feel free to let me know on the Discord, or you can always like comment on a YouTube video and let me know or whatever. That would be awesome. If it's something that you guys want us to go over, right? Like if you see something, you're like, oh, we need to watch this or read this or whatever, just let me know. Better was on News Nation tonight as well. Oh, interesting. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. Flash is saying that that song is actually an old gospel song called "God's Gonna Cut Him Down," and it's grim. Yeah, it has even now though. It definitely has that grim vibe, which I think is appropriate here. Because I really think the sentiment that is being portrayed or being that he's going for, and also the sentiment from a lot of people is like, now it's time to get to the bottom of this and time to, like, they're coming. Like how I always say to Wendy Adelson, they're coming for you, 5-0. It's like that type of thing. Like clock's ticking, Morrissey, they're coming for you. Dude, that fucker right there, though. I can't. So that's the vibe I'm getting. And it's like, there's it's like a reckoning. You know what I mean? Like there's a reckoning. So the biblical element definitely makes sense with that too. I think. Oh yeah, Lucy. Heather's got a request for some twin flame. Jesus, got it. And it's noted. It's noted. She wants a little bit of some tiny waterfall action. That's what she wants. That's what Heather wants. I don't know what happened to Twiz, but hopefully he's still alive. He was here at the beginning of the stream for like 2 seconds. Oh, the Discord. Well, here, let's have Nightbot put a link in the chat. Those of you guys who didn't know, you can join the Law Squirrel Discord, and it's lots of fun. Many of you guys in the chat are posting on there and talking on there, and we love it. So, so there you go. Charlie Lynn saying Tully and Fanning are next. What about Higgins? I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many, right? I mean, people that, you know, one would hope are investigated properly, as it were. So yeah, hopefully let me know if the link doesn't work, because only every now and again I get feedback that the link doesn't work. But basically, it's the Law Squirrel Discord. I have heard that if you're on an iPad, you can't do it, but it should work on a phone or a computer for the most part. But yeah, it's Law Squirrel for anyone that wants to just search for it too. You can do it that way. And you guys will see a lot of the squirrel friends in there. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can. I mean, I've never tried it. I don't know if you can find it using my name, because it's for the whole channel. It's connected to the YouTube channel. So I don't know how that works if it's connected to my name. I don't know how I've never even tried searching for a name like that on Discord, so I don't know how Discord does it. But it's like Law Squirrel. Happy Annie, I'm with you on that. Something is up with Higgins. He's just disappeared. Yep. So you can either search Law Squirrel, or maybe it goes by, if it goes by username, my username is ChelseFile123, but Law Squirrel should take you there, and so should the link. But I'm with you on that, Happy Annie. Like, what the fuck is going on with Higgins? Totally want to know. Did you think of a command, Mary? Let me know. Let me know. And anyone else who doesn't have a custom command, if you want one, let me know. Or if you're still thinking, that is fine too. But if you have thoughts now, you can let me know. Nightbot will get it set up for you. And let me see also. Let's see if Runkle, let's see if Runkle is still alive. I think Runkle is still alive. So what I'll probably do is just go ahead and set this up to redirect into Runkle, because Runkle is amazing, and I'll probably be popping in there as I do some other things. And I love Runkle, and I know you guys love Runkle. Oh, it looks like there was a full interview with Karen's dad. Let me save this. There's a longer interview with Karen's dad. We'll put this on the agenda for tomorrow, because again, I know there's going to be some more stuff coming out here. So I'm going to save this to my playlist. But yeah, I'll set it up so that it redirects into Runkle. Let's see here. Here we go. Cool. That should work. Good night, Flash. Also, Random Girl, so happy to see you. Long time no see. Happy to see you. And Mary, did you put your command in the chat? Yeah, sometimes there's fewer people. Right now, there's going to be a lot more people. But like on Runkle's normal streams, it's not that many people. It's not. I mean, not as many as now, right? Like, it's actually a chat you can tend to use. But with Karen Reed, there's a lot of people watching. I'm ending. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to. I mean, we've kind of gone through everything. That there really is to go through. I mean, we can always watch something again if you guys would rather. I can keep streaming if you guys want to go through something else. But yeah, like I don't really have much else planned here because we've watched all the things and read all the things. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. So yeah, so anyone who does want a custom command, you can always let me know tomorrow, or you can always let me know in the Discord. Of course, the commands also work in the Discord, which is a fun. Okay, did you recommend this in the chat and I missed it, which is entirely possible, or did you recommend it in the Discord? And I saw Auntie Deb. How do people say it? Auntie Deb. Anyway, I saw him on he was on with Runkle on, where was it? Defense Diaries? Anyway, I saw a second of him, and he seemed cool. But yeah, whatever your recommendation was, I will take a look. Oh, okay, cool. He was on Young Jerks. Okay, I'm not as familiar with that channel. I mean, I know that they're one of the channels that's been covering this, but I think, yeah, I think he was on with Defense Diaries around the time when the verdict was coming out. That's what I think it was. Let me see here. Needs some Z's. Is it the one called Stand Up? Is it called Free Carry Fundraiser Bev Stand Up? Is that the one you're talking about? That's probably what it is. Okay. Yeah, we can watch that. Totally. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's get Morrissey off the screen anyway, huh?
Loser, thank you. Everyone, Michael Petit found out why the hard way. Okay? How's everyone doing? I thought I was on my way to a freak off, FKR. I messed it up. I'm so sorry. Dee, I'll see you soon, hon. All right, I got a couple things. Listen, I got Lal out back waiting for me. Okay? You ever try to ride Lally on the bike? Oh, horrible mileage. Horrible mileage. Smoke is, hold on, kids, hold on. Thank you. I'm not giving you any money. All right. Let me see.
Oh my God.
Who's
He has like the matching tumbler that she always has. It's like the teal. Anyway, you'll see it. He poured the White Claw into that. That's hilarious.
Listen, Kim, where's Kim? Where's Nurse Kim? I heard you talking about my lipstick, you bitch.
We were talking about that
your legs or I'm shutting off the fans. Okay? We got all the YouTubers here. Look at the nice YouTubers. Melanie Little, Clara. Out of towners. What won't they do for a free meal? Oh my God. And where's Turtleboy? Where's he at?
Right there.
Turtleboy, when are you gonna let me turn you into a turtle man? You don't answer my text? What am I, one of your dirty exes? Christ, come on. We'd never work out though, you know what I mean? Turtle, crab. You crack my shell into 1,000 pieces, I sprinkle it on a lawn frame, whatever. You know how it goes. You guys know how it goes. Did you guys enjoy the food? Yeah. Everyone have the stuffed pig? Oh no, that's Julie Nagel. Different body. Very different. I've always wondered, how come we never checked one of her 5 stomachs for Chloe? That's why she's always eating peanut butter. Am I wrong? Huh? Am I freaking wrong? No, but I get it. This case is very confusing. I mean, you never know who's who, all kinds of different people. Took me 3 weeks before I realized they were talking about an actual snowblower, not Jill Daniels. Oh, geez, can I get the number to your guy? Christ almighty. I mean, no, but really, people, I mean, this case is friggin' wild. But if Brian Albert is Boston's finest and Julie Nagel is Boston Market, I'm moving to California. Friggin' nightmare. How about that Jen friggin' McCabe? The confidence of a school shooter and the dental work of a school mascot. Go for it.
No shit.
What happened there?
Oh, bro.
Welcome, Sky Blue. This was a clip recommended by Biting Disease and several other people in the chat. So from Auntie Deb, a lot of you guys I know are familiar. This is recent. This was from a Karen Reed fundraiser. So he's doing stand-up dressed up here as Bev. And so that's him doing the stand-up. And there's many people that we all know that are here in attendance for this.
Anyways, we just wanted to come here tonight. Maybe in another life, we could have been something. We could have been friends, you know.
Oh, no.
I gotta respect the boss, bitch. Okay, that's balling out of control. You know I love that shit. Vanity Fair, give it up. The coolest chick ever. And listen, just because some big fat loser doesn't want to wake up and get out and check what's going on outside, he was sleeping and creating his own friggin' nightmare for the rest of his life, because we love you, Don. And hey, don't tell Laugh. Relax, Rocco, relax. I heard about you.
Oh, thank you, Susie, for that.
No, gay, I'm not a man. Bev. That's it, don't tell anyone I was here.
That's funny.
Get out of my way, Clara.
That's really funny.
Okay, that's balling out of control, you know.
I wonder what that was he was holding up. I couldn't see that. That's really funny. He's really tall, isn't he? Like amazingly tall. So, okay, guys. So we will, again, should redirect you guys into Runkle. We will reconvene tomorrow. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much. Squirrel Crew is the absolute best. I know I all say that, but I mean it every single fucking time. Today was such an amazingly memorable day. We will never forget. June 18th, day that goes down in history, guys. And I'm so glad that we got to relive all of the incredible moments of today together tonight, and to talk it out. And we'll be here together to see what's next, not just for this case, but for all of the cases that we're covering. And yeah, you guys are just awesome, and I love it just so much. So, oh, it's Karen's Vanity Fair. That's funny. That makes sense. Flash, you've made it through many streams. I don't know what you're talking about. Today was a moment and then another one. It surely was. It surely was. It really, really was. Yep. I think we can all, hopefully we can all have a different type of sleep tonight, right? Or whatever it is that you guys are doing. I think things will feel different. I know they already will do for me and will for me. Like, this is just, I feel like everything looks a little bit different right now. You know, just even visually, it's like, I don't know, man. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. So, yeah. Karen's been out on she's been out. She's not been in jail. You're very welcome, Happy Annie, and thanks for always being here for to Happy Annie and to everyone else, you guys who's always here. And even if some of you guys are not always here, but just for being here tonight, thank you, thank you. And Random Girl dropped an Auntie Deb's song in the Discord. Thank you, love it. But yeah, you guys are the best. Love y'all, and we'll be back together tomorrow. But justice won out on this one, and I just have to say, to those jurors, you are our heroes, and thank you so much for doing your job correctly, fairly, without bias, and for providing so many of us with the hope that we really needed for the justice system. But that's it for now, so squirrel out.